Hey, toilet.
What's the haps, Merv Daddy?
Oh, I'm just, cleaning. Now there's just one question. Are you two ready to conquer the skies? Ooh, can I pick the first one?
Well, traditionally, we start with Night of the Living Dead.
Ah, that's kid stuff.
What? What is that?
No.
Murph, what are you showing us?
Oh. Wait, what?
You weren't hypnotized?
Of course not. Can't hypnotize a monkey. We can't focus. And I'm sorry, who are you?
Come on, Merv. We introduced you to Kit Kat, right?
No. No, you have not.
He's our neighbor. He brings the laughs.
Kit Kat's cool cars!
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I slept like an angel last night.
Really? I'm surprised you spent the whole night just screaming.
Oh, really? Did I say anything?
Say anything like what? About an incident? In Morocco?
Wow.
Welcome to your very own drive-in theater. Close our eyes.
What about you? You gonna do that?
That's a negatory, brother. Gotta stay vigilant. Always on the prowl. Never know who's sneaking up on you. Learned that in Morocco.
What happened to Morocco? Shh.
Hey, everybody! We're here today in the quarantine kitchen to make something extra. First, that's the first step done.
I'm home.
No! It's gonna be good.
Wow, Murph, you actually did it.
I hate you, Melvin, Mark. I hate you so much.
I do!
No, Mark.
Egg?
Mailman, stop, please. No more cake for you. You're good. You don't need any more.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what's wrong, but you have to promise not to laugh.
Scout's honor.
You were never scout.
I like to think I was.
I'm angry, but then as I pull out the rest of my clothes, I realize they're still wet. The water starts to soak into my hands. Suddenly my hands get smaller and smaller, and before I know it, I'm looking up at the washing machine and it's huge! I look for you and Jen, but then I see you. And that, I guess what I'm saying is, I love you guys. I'll see you around.
All right.
Love you too, Merv.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Give it
My name is Eric Timmons, and
to Jenna to say her thing.
oh, sorry, Jenna.
You're fine. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session, Creating and Maintaining a Weekly Web Series at Boca de Oro 2021. The session is being recorded for post-viewing and archiving. If you do not wish to have your image included in this recording, please keep your video off for this session. If you choose to keep your video on, make sure that you're following respectful meeting decorum and whatnot. We ask that you kindly follow our Zoom etiquette for this meeting and that you remain muted unless speaking directly. Raise your physical or virtual hand for questions if requested by the presenter. Be respectful to the presenter and fellow attendees during the session, and use the chat box in an appropriate manner or as prompted by the presenter. I will be your session support. And if you are welcome to ask me any questions. If you need assistance, just select my name as the recipient when choosing a message in the chat. We hope you enjoy this session. And without further ado, Cameron Castle and Eric Timmons.
All right. That's you, Bird.
All right, welcome. So we'll be presenting on creating and maintaining a weekly web series. My name is Eric Timmons. I'm a teacher with San Ana Unified School District. And before that, I worked at New Vista School, which is a small school in Laguna Hills. And I was an English teacher there. And I started with Cameron. We both started together a film festival where students would create short films. And part of that film festival was Merv the Monkey. And Cameron can explain how that came to be. But as for myself, my background is in theater. I had a background in theater arts, and so I wanted to bring that to my classroom in some capacity. But the students, because it was working with mostly students with autism, I wasn't able to create the live performances that I wanted to create. And so Cameron had this idea for doing film. And so we started doing that and started making movies. And so I was able to bring in my background in acting and my passion for writing and for writing screenplays and helping students form those screenplays. And so Mervyn Inn was sort of a creation of all of those, the culmination of all those things coming together at the right time, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that's about me. Cameron?
Yeah, hi. I'm Cameron. I do the talking with the hand for the talking monkey. I started, with Eric at New Vista School almost 10 years ago now. We started doing small plays, and then that evolved into the film festival. I am still working at the school in addition to making short films and acting in movies here and there whenever I can. But yeah, so I'm not as interesting of a background. So Eric, if you want to head into where you want to start here.
Well, so then Cameron, can you talk about Merv and like sort of how we where that came from?
I thought that was the first slide, so I was gonna. But Merv started as a character that I began taking puppetry lessons about 10 years ago with the late great Michael Earl, who was a performer on Sesame Street, and he taught me how to make it look like a piece of cloth is alive. And Eric and I created or toilet. Eric and I created the character of Merv about 10 years ago for a talent show at the school, and the character became sort of like a sort of mascot for our film festival that we did. And just over the years of creating things that featured him, we really got to know and really love this little character. He really is, even though I'm the hand and voice, he's just as much Eric as he is me, as he was wrote our original scripts for the character, and he became such like a loved part of our job that we felt it wouldn't be fair just to keep him to that school, and that we thought that really the world deserved to get to see him the same way that we have to deal with him.
Yes, we just can't get rid of them. And so like so many people. So what we want to talk about is how it came to be. Cameron and I were really, we were debating about how we could work on a project together, and that's sort of my focus, or our focus today on what we're presenting here, is this idea of getting a project that you are passionate about off the ground, and then the most important part is maintaining that. How do you maintain that project? Because starting it is hard, but then maintaining it we found out is even harder. How it came to be is Mervyn started when the world stopped. Basically, we were talking for years, literally, about working on some kind of project together after I left the school, and we our schedules just never seemed to line up. We couldn't figure out how we wanted to do it, and then COVID happened, and we were trapped inside, and we had time to start thinking and planning and talking about this little monkey and what kind of trouble he could get into. And so we sort of moved him from he was he wasn't he was honestly, he was a chaos machine, really. Like in the film festival, he was the villain who would cause chaos, and he was always trying to ruin the film festival. And we just realized that that wasn't going to be sustainable for like a TV series, so a web series. So we sort of shifted into, he's still a chaos machine very much, but he's a lovable chaos machine. And he's really the protagonist in the story that you're following as he's kind of understanding the world a little bit better.
Well, Eric, I might be glitching on my end, but if you're sharing your screen, I can't see it. Sorry.
Oh.
Can you guys see it? I don't know.
You can't see the presentation?
I just see you.
Oh, hang on a second.
I can see your screen.
Oh, you can. All right.
You
It's just
Mervin in started when the world stopped. You see that? Okay. Okay.
If it's just my end, then it's no problem because I've seen the presentation. But
no, thank you, Tony.
So yeah, we said he started as a chaos machine. He's very much a force of nature, which becomes an extremely difficult character to write for when he needs to have wants and desires, because he tends to be a character who goes for it. And I think we kind of adapted that in our day-to-day lives in terms of we see that we go for it.
Definitely. So here's our. Oh, do you want to say something?
No.
So here's our production process. We just wanted to go through. So we start off by planning and writing the episode, and that can be Cameron and I sit on the phone and basically like put down bullet points. I heard an interesting thing about Alfred Hitchcock that he would sit and he'd figure out the beats of the story for his movie before he would actually write anything. So he'd figure out like sort of the story beats and the story shape, even just in bullet points. And then he thought dialogue was kind of secondary. You go back and write the dialogue later, which is not typically how it's done. Usually you start writing the dialogue and then you kind of start to shape your characters when you're writing a screenplay. But Cameron and I actually do that where we started doing it now, where we shape out the story and sort of what we want the theme of the story to be. And then we go back later and then fill in the dialogue. So that's our process. We usually, because of COVID, we'd love to do it in person, but most of the time we just do it over the phone. But even with our busy lives, just like we're talking about today with starting your own project, is that you have to find ways to make it work for you so that it's sustainable. And so talking online is sustainable.
And I think that was a big part of our motivation into starting the show. We had for years talked about doing it, and finally having, be it good or bad, enough free time to work on something like this was really what gave us the push to really start our production. And we had been lucky to have our own sort of production process over our six plus years of working with each other on the film festivals prior, that we knew how it worked, but really working on one now where there aren't any career deadlines that are forced upon us. We're really the ones setting our own goals, really changed the way that we had to look at creating something.
But it's still important to keep those deadlines.
Absolutely.
So yeah, which we'll get to a little later. So the next step then is to read through the script and revise it. Then we film the episode and edit as we go. Cameron, did you want to talk about editing as you go?
Yeah, one of the things that that we learned pretty early on in doing this is that Eric and I, when we work together, we tend to agree on most things, and what happens is we'll form a sort of echo chamber, and it's really important, and this has to do with revision also, is for us to get outside opinions. We're lucky to have a lot of friends and family who support our work and are willing to give us feedback and notes on what we do. So we'll often get in a bad habit of writing something thinking, oh, this is fantastic, getting into filming and finishing it and showing it, and then going, wait, I'm completely lost as to what you're trying to tell me here. And it happened more times than we care to admit. So one of the things that we've learned is to start editing our project while we're in the process of making it, so that we can get feedback before it's all over, because we've unfortunately been in situations where we've done these large productions that take a day plus to set up the shots and do all that. and then edit it afterwards and show it to people and have them be completely confused. But now, if we need to go in and change something, it's almost impossible to keep with our schedule to reset that entire thing. So one of the habits we developed is we'll shoot a scene, edit it while we're keeping everything up, show it off, and then go back and do any changes we might have to in filming or writing before it's too late
Yeah, exactly.
keep our schedule.
And time's wasted. And then our last thing is then, the final edits and sound mixing, just going through the process of figuring out how, whether, what's working and sort of the last check through. Now what we're going to share with you is we'd like to share what we've learned from this process. And what we're thinking is that if you have a project that you are interested in starting, whether it be a book or even a blog or a vlog or
web series
or web series, whatever it is that you're interested in, write poetry, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, art. My mom's gotten really into watercoloring, and she's like become so much better at it as she practices all the time. So so whatever it is, we think that these 4 things would actually really help you in that process. So the first one is set clear deadlines for yourself. It's so easy if it's a hobby or something to just sort of have these indefinite, deadlines. Like you just basically just can keep moving the goal post down the field. And what we found with Mervyn Inn is because we've decided on doing it as a weekly web series, we're locked into Friday. And so because of that set deadline for us, self-imposed deadline, we found a system that works, a system that for days when to complete each task, like the ones I just shared with you before. So that's a really important step. Cameron, you want to do the project?
Yeah. One of the biggest lessons that I had to learn in working on this show and just various projects over my career has been that the project you set out to make will almost never be the one that you end up with. So learning to adapt to or roll with the punches and just try to make the best thing you can is super important. For example, one of the episodes in this past season of Mervyn Inn was planned to have two different actors than the ones we ended up using. And as a result, the actors that we ended up using were of a different age range. And so we basically had to write new characters and go in and redo this entire episode, including what the lesson Merv learned was just due to an unforeseen circumstance that we learned maybe the day before we started filming. And keeping our schedule became almost impossible. That was our only instance of breaking our weekly routine. But as a result, we ended up extending the amount of episodes we created to make up for that. But
there was something going on in the world. I don't remember what it was. But
yeah, something happened that people weren't available. And as a result, learning that the project that we had started this season with, this was for season 2, we'd started with a general outline of where we wanted to go in terms of a story. And as a result of those circumstances, everything had to change. And we ended up needing to push everything back and redo the way that episode worked. But I think it ended up being better than what we had originally planned. And had we been stuck and rigid in our original vision of what we'd wanted that episode to be, it would have been a mess, I think.
Absolutely. No, I concur. And so then the next one is consider how you spend your time. This kind of has a double meaning. So consider how you spend your time while you're working on your project, but also too, it's important. Time is a really big or common excuse for not starting these creative projects, right? It's that, I just don't have the time. I'm just so busy with all these other things going on in my life. But what I started to realize when I started working on this, and it did kind of become almost like another job, and I was like, this is a lot of work, is I realized that I was spending so much time binge watching TV and like enjoying somebody else's art for hours at a time, right? A movie, at least you're enjoying somebody else's art for like a set duration, like a small duration. But like for a series, you could go on for hours, days. So I decided that, I didn't want to keep investing all my time into that when I had so much that I wanted to explore and play with and have fun and create. So so really think about that when you're thinking about your project. How can you spend more time creating rather than just digesting, consuming?
And I think, yeah, on the similar topic, one of, in considering how you spend your time, one of the big lessons that we learned was that when you set a schedule, making sure that you're not putting all your time into worrying about it before you're doing it. Especially when it's a weekly web series, if Eric and I aren't satisfied with the script by the time we get to shooting, you just you have to think, well, am I gonna push this back, or am I just gonna work with it and my thing's glitching. And
No, we have put scripts on hold before too.
Absolutely, yeah, we've had to push them back to later.
But we had to keep moving. Like we said, then we had another script that we wanted to bring forward, and we cleaned up and got together in time.
So considering how to spend your time, if you want to make sure that this thing's done, get going.
And what helps is to have an audience that actually wants to see it, right? So
Absolutely.
Let's say it's not a web series. Let's say it's something else. If you're telling them that you're going to release, put poems online every Friday, then at least you're giving yourself a deadline and you're holding yourself to it. The last thing is, for what we learned, is focus on improvement, not perfection. So it's just this idea that you have to have the perfect product that you're going to release. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, the product you release will never be the one in your head.
Exactly. And the thing you need more than anything else when you're doing a creative project is feedback. You need to find out, is this a thing? In comedy, like we were always asking each other, like, is this funny? Is this a thing? And most of the time the answer is no. Most of the time the answer is no, it is not funny. But you need to get that feedback from each other, from someone who understands what you're doing, but also from the people around you and people who are completely objective. And that's where the internet, we're so lucky to have these global connections where we can put our material out there. And on YouTube we have our thumbs up, thumbs down, right? So
we know, yeah,
and analytics.
We know right away what content goes over well and which one doesn't go over quite as well, and that ended up almost restructuring the entire way that our series went. The first couple episodes, the show was meant to be much more educational, and the feedback we got was that well, I'm learning things, but I'm enjoying the story more in these characters, and evolving the show in tandem into something that's more of a centralized narrative while still teaching lessons. But people like, and yeah, the internet and analytics and feedback is what helped us. Well, we thought that what we had was great, but our focus was on improvement based on the feedback.
Absolutely. And one thing we learned too was that we were writing short stories for each episode. That was sort of like Merv learned a lesson in each episode. And so he improved like in that episode. But the feedback we got after the first season was that Merv didn't change. Like when you write a show, there has to be a trajectory where he's actually improving or changing in some way that you can not just measure per episode, but actually across the whole series or the whole season. And that wasn't happening. So then we went back to the drawing board in season 2 and started changing from that. So
the strongest feedback we received was why would they put up with him? And our initial response was to get defensive and go, well, this is why, because we did all this in the show. But then we had to sit back and think to ourselves, well, why would they?
Yeah.
And take that feedback and use it to push the story forward. Realize they probably wouldn't.
They probably would have kicked them out.
Yeah.
So we just want to leave you with the thought. We're going to show you a clip of from season 3, a little treat that we have here. We don't have a lot of time left, but we just want to encourage you to start your project today and think about, it doesn't have to be a web series. It could just be anything that you're doing. And if you use these strategies and keep yourself to deadlines, keep yourself to get a buddy, get someone like a partner that you can engage with.
Get someone who is willing to provide you non-sugar-coated feedback.
Absolutely.
Because that's the only way it's going to improve. And if I could just stress the one more thing, it's get it out there, just get started. That was what we learned. We had talked about doing Merv for years, and it wasn't until we just sat down and started doing it that we actually started to make any progress. So if it's a novel, if it's anything, just start writing it. Even just start writing out your ideas. And if you're not physically making the effort and keeping it in your head, it's not going to move forward.
and the show isn't exactly like where we want it to be yet, but we're getting that feedback, and we know that we'll get closer to it than had we just sat around over beers and talked about how, you know, someday we'll write a great show. So please follow us, subscribe. I know 2 of our people here are already faithful subscribers. Yeah, so please follow, subscribe, and yeah, there's more to come. This is great to find out about season 3 and what's coming up, what Merv has in store. So what we have in store for you, wait, no, not yet. Don't ask questions yet, you guys. Wait. Let me go real quick here. And I'm going to show you, this is a clip from season 3, hot off the editor.
Special for you guys.
Special for you guys. I'll wait for the siren to stop by my house. Jenna, don't shut us down, please. I know.
Hey folks, here's a sneak peek from season 3. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it when it premieres.
Easy, easy, easy. This is free clinic paying for, huh? Ow, careful, careful. Look, these hands might look like furry mittens to you, but they're what I was given to work with. Well, at least until they can, you know, give me a transplant so I can get some cat claws. Speaking of which, you ever hear the one about the cat that swallowed a ball of yarn? Yeah, I know that face. You heard it. You spent the whole day throwing up mittens.
That's wrong.
No, it's the joke. I mean, I didn't write it.
The joke is a pun based on the word mittens, which rhymes with kittens. The cat had mittens.
Look, I took you for a lot of things, Doc, but funny wasn't one of them.
Sorry, Merv. Touched a nerve.
Yeah, I think you did too.
See, being a veterinarian wasn't my dream.
I mean, whose dream is it really? I mean, have you seen the patients? They're animals!
I wanted to be a comedian. There's just one problem, Merv. I'm not funny.
Well, it's a gift and a curse.
Faced with this harsh truth, I did the next best thing.
You got a degree in mortuary arts. No. You ate a bear. A live bear.
I opened a comedy club.
That makes more sense.
I figured if I couldn't be on the stage, I could own the stage. We called it Chuckletown, USA.
It's a terrible name.
It was amazing. Every night we had the best talent in the business coming to play. Fantastic headliners. Couldn't ask for more. The place was packed. Until the comics started to ask me about my material. And in my hubris, I obliged them.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Mr. Francois Fly.
Bonjour, hello, monsieur and madame. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? How is everyone doing tonight? Round of applause. How is everyone feeling? Yes, I love it. My name is Francois Fly. It's a privilege to be here at Chuckletown, USA. I just flew in from Paris and my thorax muscles are exhausted. I'm kidding, I took the plane. So, that TSA that you have, they are terrible. No? Yes? Oui? They're a real sticky situation. They really trap you. Oui? Yes? Anyway, so I brought the little maggots and they were on their best behavior. Marie and Jean, as usual. Wonderful. But that little Jack, he got stuck in the baggage claim. And he popped like a, how you say, a pimple? It was disgusting. It was terrible. Right? No? My child is there. And so that, my furry, funny friend, is why I gave up comedy.
Aw, dude. Doc, things have changed, man. You could start a YouTube channel. That flybit's definitely weird enough for the internet.
Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to have time to do Q&A. Luckily, the series is meant about asking questions. He has an email attached. If you have any questions, please.
Yes, please write us.
We're more than happy to oblige.
Thank you so much for joining us today. How do I stop this? Thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah.
Get out there. Get started.